with. Like, it just tasted like dirty grease in that fryer. By this time, I'm not even going to complain to anybody. I'm so mad about lunch.
Like, you're Walmart pissed at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's not from Tulsa. So I've told her I will take you to the best place in town to get chicken fingers. That got 86th. So then I'm like, okay, I got a backup place. This place I've never had a bad meal in. Well, I'll be damned. Not only did I have a bad meal, it stunk. Like, I don't know what's going on with the Brook and Blue Rose, but you guys need to up your game. Well, I don't really care if you do or not, because I'm never going to set foot in either one of those establishments again.
Yeah, I guess you're headed over to Raising Cane's now, huh?
Yeah, man, that's a safe bet, dude.
Yeah.
It's a safe bet.
That's the only thing they do is chicken fingers. That's it.
And they do them well.
You can't get a hamburger there. You can't get a freaking taco there. You can get fries, and you can get chicken fingers, and you can get some slaw.
And their dipping sauce.
Yeah, and their dipping sauce is freaking bomb, too. But they also have gravy as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can get gravy too. So, and the gravy is okay. I got to agree with you. Blue Rose probably had the best gravy.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you, Blue Rose and the Brook ought to be ashamed of themselves. When my go-to chicken finger spot is going to be a big box chain over a locally owned and operated restaurant, man, you guys should be ashamed of yourself.
And the Brook, I mean, my God, that place has been chicken fried steak central for years.
Oh, if I'd have ordered a chicken fried steak and it tasted like that, oh, all hell would broke loose. I mean, I'd have come unwound.
Yeah, because this place, ladies and gentlemen, for you who have not eaten at the Brook, the chicken fried steak is about the size of the plate. It's a big old son of a bitch.
And there ain't no about. It is the size of a plate. My parents used to go in there, and they would order one chicken fried steak meal. Both of them eat dinner and take some of it home.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Because I don't think I've ever finished one. Big a boy as I am, I don't think I've ever finished a chicken fried there.
I totally believe it. I've never been anywhere and been served chicken fried steak that big.
Nope.
But I guarantee I'm not going to go in and order one anytime. And I'm not going to go back in there, bro. I mean, if I ever talk about going in there, kick me in the shin.
I doubt it because that lovely...
Don't let me do it.
Lovely young lady that you're with is probably going to remind you that somebody's hair was in her dish, so...
Dude, it made me mad the rest of the day. I was like, God damn it.
Hey, you know what? Guess what's coming up next month?
Word on the street is we're getting ready to have a 1-year anniversary of the podcast.
1-year anniversary of the podcast, and we actually got reminded of that by Mr. Beans Bourbon himself. Adam
yes,
Dickinson.
we did.
He let us know that we're just about to our 1 year. So, Adam, I'll tell you what. Why don't you get a hold of Shiner and give him some ideas for the anniversary show? You know,
give us some topics you want to hear us kick off the show with, and I think that's a great idea.
We do this as therapy for us, but in the grand scheme of things, it's entertainment for you guys. So, give us some ideas on what we should talk about, what we should do. You know, do we crack a bottle of champagne and celebrate? Do we drink water? No, we won't.
Do we get
water.
drunk and then record?
We get drunk and then record the podcast.
Do we tie one on? Donnie's shaking his head no.
Yeah, I think you should see the speed at which Donnie's no head is going. It's left and right.
Like a bobblehead, horizontal bobblehead.
Yeah, speaking of bobblehead, man, I watched a little bit of the World Series last night and fell asleep, and I have no idea how it ended.
I saw that the Nationals won.
Okay, that makes sense.
Was that the last game?
No, this is Nationals and Astros. This is the World Series.
Oh,
that was the ALCS, which Houston and the Yankees. And Houston beat the Yankees, and Washington beat the Cardinals 4 games to nothing.
They swept them?
Yeah, they swept the Cardinals. And first game of the World Series was last night, and I have no freaking idea who won the game. So, Donnie, if you would not mind, sir, throw that up in my bucket for me and know who won.
Buddy from Yeah, I think the Nationals won, man, because our buddy Dallas Brewer from Tattooed in the Wild is a big Nationals fan, I take it, because he's posting stuff about them all the time. And I think I saw him post something on Instagram about they won. I don't know, man. I've been in a time warp since hunting season started. So
yeah, man, thank you, Donnie. Yeah, Washington. Oh, Donnie just put the game up. That's awesome. Washington won the game last night, and we're at game 2, and it's tied 2-2 in the bottom of the second.
You got the game on your monitor?
Yeah, I threw the game on my monitor.
Thanks,
it's not like TV. It's just the what
the
Google scoreboard thing.
Yeah. Right. Well, I was gonna say me and Donnie getting ready to have problems.
No, man. Thank you, Donnie. Appreciate that. I can kind of keep track of doing the podcast. Got a question, man.
Give it to me.
What's the deal with this impeachment now? Now, if you remember correctly, about 20-ish years ago, they successfully impeached Clinton, right?
Yeah, they got votes. I can't remember how that shook out. They got votes in the House and not in the Senate, or vice versa.
Exactly. Yeah, the House had the votes to sit it out.
Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, technically, I think he was technically impeached. He just refused to leave office, right? I mean, I think that's how that shook out. I've seen a documentary, and I was way too medicated to keep up with all of it. But
how is the medication going, by the way?
Well, fabulous. Thank you for asking.
Outstanding.
You know how I love medicine, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It actually, dude, it's helped my asthma tremendously. I mean, I still take ER visits, but not on the frequency I was by any means.
No, and then, even Mama here got on the train. She right before bed, she hits her little vapor thing before bed, and she's able to sleep.
Oh, that's right, because she has some pretty bad sleep issues going on.
Yeah, man, she went several years without being able to just go to sleep right off the bat, and now, she can hit it a couple times and
nods right off.
nods off. Well, actually, I think she's probably up to 3 on hits. When she first started out, she did 2 hits, passed out while she was still sitting up in bed, hit her head on the floor, and screwed her shoulder up pretty good. So the next day she did 1 hit and fell asleep. And then it got to the point to where she needed 2 hits. Now I think she's probably up to 3. But what probably needs to be done is she probably needs another pen or 2 and a couple of different strains in those, just to not keep going back to the same strain. Because
tolerance is an issue,
exactly.
Bro.
Your body will get you.
Yeah.
Even
people eat like 6 things of Benadryl to take care of their allergies.
Yeah, well, if you eat 6 things of Rice Krispie treat, it's going to take care of your allergies. It's going to take care of your. It's going to take care of you from having to go to work the next couple of days because you won't be able to.
Speaking of Benadryl, man, last ER visit I took, which was right before my last hunting trip.
Ah, yes.
Oh my God, dude. Okay, so an ER nurse tells me that they had a patient at work. It was an elderly lady. She described her as looking kind of like Aunt B from the Andy Griffith Show. And this older lady, went to great extremes to try to get them to push Benadryl IV. And I'm like, what's that about? She's like, oh, they get a real euphoric feeling. So this lady's making up all kinds of phantom itching she's got going on and this and that. Lo and behold, 2 nights later, I go to the ER, maybe the next night. And every once in a while, they give me Solumedrol, which is a steroid, and it does open my lungs up. But kind of habitually now, I start breaking out in hives when they give it to me.
Right.
Well, that happened. My feet started breaking out in hives, so the nurse comes in, and she hits me with 50 milligrams of Benadryl IV. Dude,
that's a bunch.
You talk about something that will wipe you out. Oh my God, dude! I was high as a kite. Oh my! I've never experienced anything like that ever.
For me, when I've had 50 of Benadryl IV as well, and for me, I remember having hyperkinesis and just like uncontrollable jerks. Couldn't get away from it. Yeah, and it's a side effect of that medicine, and it reared its ugly head toward me. 25 at a time on Benadryl is good. Mm-hmm. 50 is an oral dose for an adult, but you really need to cut that back to about 25 milligrams on an IV dose. And if you need another dose after, in 30 minutes, if there's no help, give another 25. That medicine lasts 6 hours. So
it was not as euphoric as morphine, but it was freaking close. I mean, it was the most bizarre feeling. And I was told my pupils were like pinpoints. Like it hammered me, man. I mean, it hammered me.
Well, you probably need to get out and hit that vape stick so you could open them pupils up a little bit.
Well, in my first aid kit for hunting, I have 50 of Benadryl to push IV if things get dicey. And I'm like, man, if I was sitting out in the woods and did this, we'd have a problem on our hands.
Boy, you ain't kidding.
Oh, man, you're going to find me the next morning laying next to the ground blind or I have fallen out of a tree, one or the other.
You know, I think the next time that I wind up getting buzzed really good will probably be knee surgery.
When's that happening?
Nah, probably sometime early next year. Yeah, I have not been high in a while, and it's not that I look forward to it or anything like that. Just like that IV medicine high. You know, it's been a while for that. So I probably about the next time I'll feel that's probably going to be knee surgery. Maybe January.
I don't like that feeling, really, man. Like I don't enjoy it. Like I mean, I understand there's a lot of people that do, but I don't like it at all. Like I don't know. Remember a couple years ago when I went to the ER and I had chest pains real bad and they hit me with that morphine?
Yeah.
Dude, I hate that feeling. I hate it. And I kind of started to panic when it hit me. I was like, oh, and the nurse was like, hey, just let this happen. Just let it happen. Go to a happy place and let it take place because if you fight it, it's going to get real fast.
Yeah, man.
It freaks me out.
You got to close your eyes and be like Cookie Monsters, man. Cookie Monsters.
Mm-hmm, no. Exactly.
You got to go to a safe place. And not a safe room, you millennials. Just a safe place in your head. Yeah,
for real, man.
Yeah, there's changing the subject up a little bit, kind of going back to Trump a little. You know, in the news, he said the word lynching when he was saying something, and I think it's, you know, they pulled it out of context really bad. You know, they're calling it a racial thing. You know, he shouldn't use the word lynching because he's white. Is lynching a black word?
Not that I'm aware of.
Really?
I mean, we were talking about this before we started recording, and I get there's a connotation to it. That's undeniable.
Sure.
You know, there is a connotation to it, but that doesn't mean that's just a blanket line of thought you should have about a word. I mean, that's ridiculous.
No, I mean, the definition of lynching is basically capital punishment without due process. In other words, you know, back in the old West,
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, you know, if you're on horseback and you were chasing a bad guy, you know, you're Marshall Dillon and chasing a bad guy and you find him, you know, well, he stole cattle. You steal cattle back in those days, that rope went around a tree and they would lynch you. And I don't want to get in a pissing contest with people calling me racist and all that mess, but I'll bet just as many white guys were lynched as black guys. You know, the Old West was the Old West.
I guess it's different if you call it hanged. I guess if you call it hanged, it's different. I mean, I don't know. We've talked about this before. Like the attitudes towards certain words in the English language right now, completely ridiculous. I mean,
yeah, 5 years ago, lynching wouldn't have been a big.
No,
you know, it's just one more word.
If Hillary would have said it, it wouldn't have been a big deal.
No.
I mean, anything that comes out of Trump's mouth, they try to eat him alive about it. This is just absurd, man.
It's getting out of control. You know, it's
been out of control.
It's justice without due process and you know, granted, there were a lot of slaves that were hung, a lot of black people that were hung, even after slavery was over. A lot of black people were hung. There was a whole bunch of white dudes that were hung too that stole cattle. And, you know, actually, most of those people who stole cattle back in those days didn't steal the cattle to go to market and sell. They stole the cattle because they were hungry.
I was going to say to eat them, wasn't it?
Yeah. You know, you didn't want to go over into Indian territory, Indian land, you know, because if you try to hunt over there, they're going to hunt you back.
Yeah.
So, you know, and unfortunately, you know, it is what it is when people are hungry. Now, granted, you know, that sets off another school of thought too, is that, you know, I'll feed anybody who's hungry to a point. You know, if somebody's walking down the road and knock on my door and man, I'm thirsty and I'm hungry to be on the way, I'm not going to deny somebody food like that. But, you know, if we're in end times, zombie land, whatever, I'm going to have to start picking people off that come on my property to take my food because it's all I got left.
So survival.